This is a regular city council meeting for the city of Ocean Shores, Washington. It is January 27th, 2026, and the time is 6 p.m. The meeting is being held at the Ocean Shores Convention Center, and the meetings are simulcast and archived on KOSW Radio. Meetings are live streamed with closed captioning and may be accessed on the city website under council recordings. The meetings can be viewed on Cable 68, Thursdays at 12 p.m. and Sundays at 10 a.m. Can we have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Sires?
Here.
Councilmember Taylor?
Here.
Councilmember Griebel?
Here.
Councilmember Klein?
Here.
Councilmember Wills?
Here.
Councilmember Dooley?
Here.
I would like to make a motion to excuse Councilmember Scott tonight.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, unanimous. All right, Richard, can you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, can I get a motion to approve tonight's agenda?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
All right, we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thanks. Unanimous. We have no ceremonies or proclamations. We do have board and vacancy and committee vacancies, one vacancy on the Planning Commission, 2 vacancies on the Parks Board, 2 vacancies on the Fresh Waterway Advisory Board, and 1 vacancy on the Civil Service Commission. On appointments, I would like to appoint Mike Tyree to the Civil Service Commission with council's consensus. All right, thank you. That was unanimous. We have a report from the Emergency Management, manager, Hannah Cleverly, for an annual report. And I don't see her here. Oh, there she is. All right, thank you.
Well, hi guys. It's nice to see you all. I have a little presentation for you. It's just kind of a year in review since we've joined in partnership within our ILA. And I'll have, like I said, a couple slides for you to kind of go, kind of just to encompass not all the things that we've done, but at least to highlight some of the busyness we had in 2025. We always like to start off, because one of our big bread and butter things that we do is alert and warning. So you'll see on this, just generally, you'll see over 35 alerts that our office sent out in 2025. You can look at December really took the cake with 13. And those mean that those were warnings that had gone out, and high level or advisories or watches. So from December was quite busy, as you guys all know, at the end of the year. But just highlighting kind of some of those advisories that were either generated from the National Weather Service, or we have some other incidences that occurred throughout the year that we'll just highlight as we move on. So next slide. Perfect. So January kicked us off with a bang, as most Januaries do. And within the month, we had the cities joined in. It was their first month for the ILA. So we had the first cities kind of kickoffs. You can go to the next slide too. Sorry, it'll be clunky. But so we had the cities all join in and sign off their ILAs, and we had our kickoff meetings. So what our kickoff meetings consisted of is myself and representatives from my office sat down with representatives from the city, and we kind of talked through the priorities, or what are the hot topics that we wanted to discuss? What are the first things we wanted to tackle first? And one of those things that was unanimous between all the cities was the adoption of a comprehensive emergency management plan. and joining into the county's emergency management plan with a specific annex for the city. So we were able to kick that off on the 23rd of January. And since then have been a pretty great partnership with Mike Mandela here and the rest of the city representatives between fire, law, and city administrator and mayor. So we've had really great work with them throughout the year. But we started off in January. So next slide. February brought, and I will go a little bit month, but I wanted to highlight February because something happened within Grays Harbor County. We had a jail fire within the county jail, and why I want to draw attention to that is because we had representatives from law enforcement agencies all throughout the county that came and supported that event on a Sunday morning, including Ocean Shores Sergeant, I believe, right, Chief Logan, wherever you are, yeah. Sergeant. So heard the call on the radio and came and supported, and we had to evacuate over 100 inmates safely and securely to an alternate site. And we were very fortunate that that incident occurred and wrapped up within probably, 3-4 hours. And all inmates were accounted for, and they acted great, and they were able to go and back into the jail. But where that is important in our collaboration with our community partners is the fact that multiple agencies within law enforcement showed up to support, to where you had chiefs that were watching inmates to make sure that they weren't, and you had sergeants that were helping with banding them together and making sure that all of them were safe and they were there wasn't any issues. So I wanted to highlight that because you had one of your representatives. Chief, do you remember who it was from your sergeant that showed up? I can't remember. Okay, next rolling. So lots of help from our other partners. Next slide. One of the pieces, and you can jump to the right to the next one also, is one of the things I want to highlight is that Grays Harbor County EOC has EOC training. We have one on Thursday also, which is exciting. It's one of our first ones for 2026, but we started a training program to inform public safety agencies and representatives of our cities that how an emergency operations center works. So first step in the line is to train people how to work when they show up so that they know how to show up, because when I got hired 7.5 years ago at the county, a lot of people are like, hey, I come to your EOC when you activate. Great. What do you do? Stand by and let you know that I'm here. It's fantastic. So we like to give training ahead of time. So we started doing some quarterly training with staff and partners to make sure that our emergency operations center runs smoothly. Next part to highlight is in April, we had a tsunami hazard briefing from Washington State Emergency Management Division. That brought us information on the Cascadia Subduction Zone and the economic and casualty loss. That was, I think, an eye-opener for a few of us. We talk a lot about Cascadia, and especially in the Cascadia Subduction Zone, and we talk a lot about the impacts that has on communities. Based on some new studies that was done at the state level, they were able to give us more definitive data on economic loss and impacts to our citizens and communities. So that was informational. There is information if people are interested in that. It's on the state website. You can find out more information, not to leave you all hanging, but there is more information out there. If you're interested, you can email Grays Harbor County Emergency Management. We can help you point you in the right direction. You can go next slide. One of the things we also have, and I want to highlight here also, is George Stone is one of our ham radio volunteers, and we were able to appreciate him and many of our other ham radio volunteers throughout our amateur radio group that we have within Grays Harbor County Emergency Management. You have some citizens that are also participating in our auxiliary emergency communications group. So we took a day out of April to make sure that we appreciated them. And George there received an award as well. Next slide. This is where, I know it's not exciting for all of you, but it was exciting for all of us up here. that we got to officially adopt the Comprehensive Emergency Management Plan for the city of Ocean Shores with an annex that is specific to you guys. So it's a annex within the overarching Grace Harbor County Emergency Management Plan. And having that adoption there is great. It gives kind of roles and responsibilities and gives an overarching guideline of how to respond in the event of an emergency. Next slide. You can jump to the next one too. So another piece that we'll hold on is in July became a very busy month. We got to see a lot of you after the Russian earthquake and tsunami advisory. But before that, we got to talk about tsunami preparedness and all the other hazards in Grace Harbor County at the Emergency Preparedness Expo. So we do that every July. It's held right now in Aberdeen at the Tractor Supply or Old Wishkah Mall or across from Starbucks or Top Foods parking lot. We like to choose locations that have multiple names throughout the years because it really helps with our signage. Because that was me being sarcastic. Very sorry. That was a dry one. That was me being sarcastic. All these places that we choose they have a lot of history. And so they always have many different names. So when we come to signing them for our kind of yard signs, we have to get creative on that to keep it into some small little place. But this year, again, we'll be at the end of July. I believe, unfortunately, it might be the same weekend as Hog Wild, which I'm hoping to grab some of those motorcycle people ahead before they hit Ocean Shores, and we can teach them all about tsunami hazard and safety and everything. So right after our expo, I think like 2 days after our expo, 3 days after expo, we had the large 8.8 earthquake in Russia. That started, for those that weren't familiar with that process of what kind of happened, it became an undetermined tsunami threat, which is in our world kind of our way of going, okay, wait, we're going to wait and see what happens. It quickly turned into a tsunami watch, and then very much right into a tsunami advisory, which occurred, it kicked off at like 4:30 in the afternoon on the 29th and finally concluded in, we were all clear on the 30th, the next day at about 10:30 p.m. So Grace Harbor County Emergency Management holds coordination calls with our partners on an hourly basis. So the State Emergency Management Division has a call at the top of the hour. We do it at the bottom of the hour. And so we were running kind of 2 meetings of an hour, and it was a long evening for those that got to spend time with me throughout the evening. Right after that, after we quickly got a little bit of sleep, we headed out to Elma and participated in the county fair. We worked with the sheriff's office there to host a co-booth. So if you're ever out at the fair, come visit us at the sheriff's office, and you can always get some preparedness information. We do raffles. And then the following month, which you can go next slide. The following month, we got to come out in August to National Night Out in here, actually. And I will tell you, myself and my counterpart, Stacy Roundtree, got to come out and enjoy it. And we were right next to the band. And that band was so great up close. They were really great. We really had a really great time. We got to chat with a lot of you guys, kind of right on the coattails of the tsunami advisory. So we had some really good questions from the community, a lot of good questions on how to be prepared, what should they do, and a lot of questions on the AHAB sirens, to be honest with you, and why they didn't go off. So AHAB sirens will go off in a warning, just in case, tsunami warning, that's the highest level, or in October for the Great Shakeout. Those are the only 2 times that they'll go off. And then you can go to the next slide. Then we also, you can go to the next slide, sorry. Perfect. We had another one, an undetermined tsunami threat, because, that's what we get to have as a coastal community here. And we got to participate in the Ocean Shores Fire Department open house. So you can see in that picture kind of behind the line there, the fire department landed a life flight helicopter, which was a really exciting thing for people to see and participate in. They landed right there behind the station and got community members got the opportunity to go and actually look at the helicopter and talk with the flight crew, which was a really exciting event. And I think it had a pretty good turnout. Chief Ritter said it was a great turnout for that area. You can go next slide. I'll wrap it up, I promise. October, of course, we had the great shakeout. We had a handful of advisories. October really is when we start with the alert and warning part of our world outside of tsunamis that we have, again, during the summer. Our winter weather, I guess, those kick off sooner and sooner every year. But October is when we started doing our wind advisories, high wind. You can go next slide. We also had an opportunity to work with our WSDOT partners, which was working with our Washington State Department of Transportation on a pre-winter meeting. So we coordinated with them to make sure that our public works teams, our school districts, and the county roads crew were all on the same page on kind of what could possibly happen this winter, what to expect. We got a report from the National Weather Service on kind of a pre-winter briefing. But one of the things I think is important is for everyone we got to learn here is the resources that are available and what kind of equipment WSDOT has. And I should say not a lot of equipment to deal with snow, which may be coming here in the next month or so. So hopefully, fingers crossed. I know, I'm so sorry. I'm the weird one that loves snow. All right, next one. Actually, you can flip 2 ahead. Oh, one more, sorry. I won't bore you with that one. Your public works crew, just so that you guys know, and your engineering group, they work around the clock during the winter on your berm and your erosion issues. It's a nonstop for your community members or your citizens here and for your city members. And one of the things that we do every year is we have a pre-planning for public assistance, which is a FEMA-driven program in the event of a major disaster declaration. There's reimbursement that can happen to help support some of that flood fighting efforts. Which leads us right into December. We had a very active event. Our Graysburg County Emergency Operations Center activated in a level 1, which is our full activation, which means a couple different things happen on the county level. We were managing widespread flooding throughout the county, but also instability with the Lake Sylvia Dam, which is located in Montesano. So if you heard the Wainuchi Dam was failing, that is not true. It was just the Lake Sylvia, shouldn't say just the Lake Sylvia, but it was the Lake Sylvia Dam that had some new thresholds and they had to activate their emergency action plan. So with that, created an opportunity for us to work with Washington State Parks as they own the dam, the city of Montesano, and our office to co-locate in the Emergency Operations Center. So you can go to the next slide. So as you can see in that kind of picture behind, we got to work late nights with representatives from the Sheriff's Office, City of Montesano, and State Parks on the Lake Sylvia Dam issue. One of the things that I think is important to recognize is that we were able to do a town hall for the community of Montesano and surrounding Lake Sylvia area because there was a lot of questions over what was occurring. And we were able to host a town hall for people to get information on that piece. So that was great. In any disaster, which I'm sure you guys have seen on the news, you kind of get some political tours. So we got to host Congresswoman Emily Randall. So she came down to our Emergency Operations Center and was able to work with us and kind of learn a little bit about what we've been dealing with for all of December and the Lake Sylvia Dam issues. You can go to the next slide. Yep. All in all, we had a pretty busy year from an emergency management standpoint. It went by fast, as they always do now these days. And so what's next? You can go to the next slide. So what next is we continue to be great partners with the city of Ocean Shores. And one of the pieces that is on our agenda is to work on continuity of operations and continuity of development planning. and specific standard operating procedures for the city of Ocean Shores. Do you want to add on any of that?
Well, I've taken that class, so prepared to. I have taken that class, so I'm prepared to assist and develop put our little uniqueness in the document.
So with that, that's all I had. Is there any questions?
Go ahead, Richard.
So I have two questions.
Okay.
You talked about ILS, and for me, ILS means Instrument Landing System. What's it mean for you?
Oh, you're so ILA, so interlocal agreement.
Okay.
Yep. Sorry, interlocal agreement. Yeah, that was the agreement we signed last year. Or gosh, maybe end of 2024. Doing emergency management services with you guys.
Perfect. And now it makes sense.
Yeah.
My other question is, I think that I heard you say that we are no longer sounding the sirens once a month on Mondays. Did I understand that correctly? My
Nope.
question is-
So we still are testing the AHAB sirens the first Monday of every month,
Okay.
and that's with the Westminster chimes. What I was saying is, in the event of a tsunami warning, is when the actual wailing sound occurs. So there was some confusion after the tsunami advisory that happened in July. And a lot of the questions we received was why the sirens didn't go off. And one of the education pieces was that they only actually wail like that in a tsunami warning or during the Great Shakeout, which happens in October. So yes, the Westminster chimes are still occurring every Monday. But the actual wailing sound would occur in a tsunami warning or the Great Shakeout.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Yes, Kurt?
As you can imagine, tsunamis are the talk of the town all the time here. From a planning and mitigation standpoint, what is best practice at this time for safety? Some people are talking about towers. Some are talking about artificial hills and other things like that.
So right now, the best practice is a vertical evacuation structure. That piece and why the vertical evacuation structure versus some of the others is because the vertical evacuation structures that are, there are studies, there are guidelines to withstand tsunami force impacts. So one of the things that we talk a lot when we talk about tsunami is it's not just one wave, it's a series of waves that could last 24 to 48 hours. So to have a building or to have a structure that can withstand that amount of force for that long, it has to be specifically designed. So that's why a lot of the pieces from the federal and state level recommend that vertical evacuation, is because that is the piece that is designed to do that. Now, berms are or hills are another topic of conversation. With hills, unfortunately, it takes a lot of space to get the height needed for our worst case scenario, which is the Cascadia subduction zone earthquake. So the height needed to get there and the depth that it would take is a lot of space. Additionally, one thought to think of when you do hills like that is the amount of run up that can happen from a wave. So a building that is designed to withstand those forces is the best practice.
Thank you. On a related note, there has been suggestions that came to me about building an observation tower in town like Westport has. And my concern on that was that if it's a tower, people are going to assume it's tsunami ready and safe. What's your take on that?
Yeah, I mean, towers are wonderful. They have great purposes for viewing. Again, without them being designed specifically to withstand those that long-term tsunami inundation or that tsunami force, they're not advisable for that purpose. But they are wonderful for viewing purposes and for observation, but not for the purpose of tsunami safe haven, if that makes sense.
Yes. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? All right, I guess not. Thank you for the report.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
All right, next we got public communication to council. Public communication to council is intended for communication to the city council regarding general council business or policy not on tonight's agenda. Address comments or questions to the city council body, not to an individual member or to city staff. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. We ask that the comments be nice and respectful. This is not a question and answer time, and the council cannot engage in conversation with the public. No person may use the public comment for a purpose of campaign or advertisement. The city council will begin the time once the citizen has started their public comment. At 2 minutes, you will see a green light followed by a yellow light indicating 30 seconds remain in the public comment period. The red light will notify the reader that the public comment time has ended. Now, the order of the public comments will be first individuals attending in person. Next will be individuals attending remotely. And general public comments, whether in person or remotely, will continue in the usual position on the agenda. Public comment for agenda items that were removed will be addressed following the conclusion of general public comment, and we didn't have that today. So, go ahead, Scott.
All right, good evening, Mayor, Council. We have no online general public comment. We will have one for item 11 on the agenda, and we have 18 in-person public comments tonight. So let's begin. Number one, Sarah Logan, public comment.
Good evening. I'm Sarah Logan. I'm speaking to you tonight as a city employee and as a member of this community. You may choose to identify me as you wish. We are living in uncertain and challenging times nationally, and while these realities deserve serious attention, the constant focus on division and darkness can sometimes prevent us from seeing the people around us who are actively working to make things better. Tonight, I want to recognize one of those people. George, the general manager of the Ocean Shores Convention Center, consistently serves as a beacon of professionalism, dedication, and service to our community. He does not concern himself with political affiliations, personal beliefs, or backgrounds. His focus is simple and unwavering, providing exceptional service to everyone who walks in these doors. Whether he is coordinating a major city-sponsored event, hosting a national political convention, supporting a grieving family planning a memorial, or ensuring a seamless experience for visitors, George does all of this with integrity and care. He wears many hats: manager, organizer, scheduler, promoter, and often, quite literally, the chef, accomplishing extraordinary outcomes with just a staff of 3. George does not complain. He routinely compresses 40 hours of work into just a few days to ensure Ocean Shores remains a destination people want to visit and return to. He navigates outdated hotel infrastructure, manages logistical challenges, works through protests occurring outside events, and handles supplier issues, all while preparing multiple large-scale meals, often serving hundreds of people over a short period of time. Through it all, he remains calm, professional, and welcoming, frequently assisting others while managing crises behind the scenes. He does this because he believes in Ocean Shores. He believes in his work. His dedication, work ethic, and results go well beyond what his position requires and far exceeds what many would consider reasonable expectations in today's environment. If my point has become unclear, let me be very direct. This is a reminder, in a time when negativity and division dominate social media, news, and even personal relationships, it is essential to pause and recognize the individuals who quietly and consistently make our community stronger. George is one of those individuals, and his contributions matter. They deserve acknowledgement, gratitude, and respect. Thank you.
Deputy Chief Kerry Vesco, public comment.
Good evening, Mayor, council members, city administrator, chief, and members of the community. I appreciate the opportunity to speak briefly. I want to take a moment to share something that is important to me, both as a law enforcement officer and professional, and as a public servant here in Ocean Shores. I have served in law enforcement for more than 25 years, working both in municipal and school-based policing and holding leadership roles in operations, administration, and organizational management. Throughout my career, I've overseen sworn and civilian personnel, managed complex public safety operations, and worked closely with community partners to strengthen trust and accountability. I began my law enforcement career as a road patrol officer with the Miami-Dade Sheriff's Office, where I gained my foundation in frontline policing and community response. I later transitioned to the City of Sunny Isles Beach Police Department, where I served in road patrol and as a member of the Multi-Agency Gang Task Force, working collaboratively on complex violent crime and gang investigations. I was promoted to the rank of corporal, where I supervised a squad of 8 to 10 officers and was responsible for field supervision, training, and operational oversight. My next assignment took me to the University of Miami Police Department, where I began as a patrol officer and was quickly promoted to detective. In that role, I oversaw a pre-arrest diversion program, established the department's behavioral threat assessment program, and conducted complex criminal sensitive investigations. That specialized experience in behavioral threat assessment led me to the Broward County Public Schools Police Department, where I initially served as a detective handling threat assessment cases and personnel investigations. I was later promoted to Uniform Division Sergeant, where I helped build the Uniformed Services Division, led the hiring of the agency's first 10 sworn officers, and managed what was then the largest armed civilian school security staff in the state of Florida. I was subsequently promoted to lieutenant, overseeing administration and operations, responsible for agency-wide planning, staffing, budgeting, and organizational development. I am honored to serve as a Deputy Chief of Police for the City of Ocean Shores, and I'm deeply grateful for the confidence placed in me by the Mayor, the City Administrator, the Council, and the Chief. One principle has guided me from the very beginning of my career and continues to guide me today: the responsibility to protect and serve all people without regard to political affiliation, religious belief, personal ideology, or background. The badge I wear does not represent a political party or belief system. It represents a commitment to the Constitution, to fairness, to professionalism, and to safety and dignity of every member of our community. My focus now and always is on supporting the outstanding men and women of this department, providing professional and impartial law enforcement services, and continuing to build trust with the entire Ocean Shores community. It is truly an honor to serve this city, and I remain committed to leading with integrity, neutrality, and respect.
That's time.
Thank you.
Gabriel Gregory Kaepernick, ICE.
It's Kaepernick. There's no N. Good evening, council members. I was gonna write a script, but my fiance has been in the hospital since 1:30 a.m. Monday, so I'm pretty tired. We moved to Ocean Shores October 26, 2025, because we saw a murder happen in our previous city of residence, Lakewood, Washington. We moved here because we were under the faulty assumption this was going to be a quiet, peaceful, small town. But with ICE coming in, they will be anything but peaceful. It doesn't matter if you're an illegal immigrant, an immigrant, or a U.S. citizen born and raised. They will kill you in the street without any reason, just like Alex from Minnesota. And I'm asking you to make a public stand against ICE. That is all I'm asking for. I don't have anything else to say. Please just do the right thing and keep the people of your town safe. Thank you.
Debbie Bees, Connie Clifford, and Kim Nichols, Community Engagement Committee, Super Bowl Watch Party.
All right, I'll be the big mouth. Is this on? Hey, everybody, how about those Seahawks? Woo! All right, so I'm Kim Nichols, Debbie Bees, Connie Clifford, Ryan Solomon couldn't join us tonight, but we're from the Ocean Shores Community Engagement Committee. We're the ones who bring you City Market and, of course, the Super Bowl Watch Party, which we have scheduled for February 8th. Doors open at 2:30, kickoff at 3:30. This is a free event for our community, so I don't know if who's starting rumors that there are tickets needed. That's not true. No advance ticket purchase. Just show up, bring your friends, bring your family. You can even bring snacks if you have favorite snacks to eat. Yep. Yep. This is a family event, family-friendly event, free for everybody. Food will be provided by the convention center. So we'll have hot dogs, chili, all the fixins, nachos, and more. Beer and wine provided by North Beach Independent Media. So we want to thank them for their partnership with a cash bar. 50-50 raffle to benefit our local food bank. Please feel free to bring a donation of non-perishable food items. We would really appreciate that to keep our food bank going during this hard time. We'll have a table decorating contest, so get as wild as you want. Oh, yeah. And we'll have the big candy, so you can guess how many candies. Connie has been working her fingers to the bone, counting candy. So I know. So be kind to Connie. Come and participate in the contest. But we hope to see everybody here. We actually got a bigger room because once the Seahawks won last week. So hopefully we'll have all Hawks fans, but okay, if you're a Patriots fan, you can still come. So we look forward to seeing all your faces, lots of blue and green for another great Super Bowl weekend, Ocean Shore style. Thanks, everyone.
We also want to say that table decorating is not just for the Hawks or the Patriots. Decorate for your favorite team. Come down, root for whoever you like. Just have a good time. Lots of prizes. And community engagement, CEC is looking for some volunteers to start helping us. So if you're interested, go to our webpage. What is it?
OS engaging our community.
Yeah, and send us a message if you want to volunteer. The new events we'll be bringing up will need volunteers more than likely as well. So join us. Have a good day.
Jan Hyatt, Super Bowl.
Thank you. Excuse me. They expressed pretty much everything I was going to say, except they really have big TVs. There are at least 4 or maybe 5 huge TVs. Sit any place you want and you can watch what's going on. The sound was excellent. Come and meet your neighbors. We had a lot of friends that came in. It was very friendly. Also, I need to emphasize that it is family friendly. And they, last year when we were here, they had things set up for the kids to do. And the kids were busy enjoying themselves. So and the parking is excellent out here. So you won't have to walk, 8 or 9 blocks to get in to see this. And so come on over and enjoy it and say hi to everybody when you come in. Thank you.
Sandra Harley, update on the Ocean Shores Food Bank.
Thank you. I'm here today to give you a brief update. You've heard our mission, so no one in our community goes hungry. And our community is Ocean Shores. Our vision is that everyone has access to sufficient, nutritious food. During 2025, 1,253 distinct households came to the food bank. For comparison, in 2021, that number was 685. We average 225 to 250 households every Thursday. You should also know our experience has been that people come to the food bank only when they need us, not just because we give out free food. They are hesitant and embarrassed. They don't like asking for help. For example, 38% of the households that came to a distribution last year came only once or twice, and only 5 households came to all 52 distributions. The number of households needing help continues to increase, and the amount of donated food from the hunger relief agencies continues to decrease. As a result, our food purchasing costs are significant. Again, for historical comparison, our food costs in 2025 were 4 times what they were in 2021. Given the shorter life expectancy and higher rates of diabetes in Grays Harbor County, we continue our focus on nutrition and healthy food choices. We have had a nutrition policy in place since 2019, and many food banks are now just talking about it. We appreciate the amazing support from this community, the individuals, the businesses, and the organizations. But we need more help to provide food. And we are proud to say that since we are an all-volunteer organization, 98% of all donations go toward just that, providing food. Thank you.
Lori Bullock, Sanctuary City.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council members and our community. With everything that's going on right now in the world, in our world, I thought I would address this because I think it's really important as a city and a community that we have a plan for everybody to remain safe. Thank you for allowing me to speak tonight. I'm here not just as a resident, but as a neighbor who cares about everybody in this city and everybody's safety and well-being. When we talk about becoming a sanctuary city or a community, we are really talking about trust. Trust between neighbors, trust between first responders and families, trust between our community and people sworn in to protect us. I have spoken with other members of our community, some of Hispanic descent, who are here with green cards but are still afraid. And we have had reports of ICE in our community. Those people are afraid, but even when there are victims of a crime, they're not reporting because they are in fear of ICE. I'm asking that we help those people and we do not let this tear our families apart, and that helping people not to decide to call 911 when they need help because it feels safer not doing so. That fear doesn't stay contained within the immigrant communities. It affects all of us because when crimes go unreported, everybody's at a greater risk. I want to be clear, this is not about protecting people who commit serious crimes. This is about protecting witnesses, victims, working parents, and children. It's about making sure that our local government does not unintentionally create fear that undermines public safety. Immigrants are not strangers to the city. There are people who care for our children, our elders, and who work in restaurants, hospitals, construction sites, and small businesses. They pay taxes, attend school events, volunteer, and worship here. They're part of the fabric of our community. When families live in constant fear of detention or deportation over minor interactions with local government, that fear harms mental health, destabilizes households, and weakens neighborhoods. A sanctuary policy gives families the reassurance that local services are safe to access and that the city resources exist to serve the whole community. This is also about who we choose to be as a city. Do we want a community where people hide or one where people participate? When parents fear school drop-offs or when they feel safe engaging with teachers and city staff, becoming a sanctuary city affirms that our city values of safety, fairness, and human dignity. It draws a clear line between local responsibilities.
That's time.
Thank you.
Susan Canary, Resolution.
Thank you, Susan Canary. I grew up believing the government was something to question, but not something to fear. Today, many Americans are afraid. not of foreign armies, not of some distant enemy, but of their own government. Afraid to speak too loudly, afraid to protest, afraid that a mistake, a message, or a moment of anger will follow them forever. When people begin to censor themselves, democracy doesn't collapse overnight. It erodes quietly. Power concentrates. Those in charge face fewer questions. And we are told this is normal. But a healthy democracy depends on openness, not fear. It depends on citizens who feel represented, not watched. We should never trade freedom for the promise of order. I offer this as a reminder of the trust placed in you and the care required to keep that trust intact. Fear is not governance. Silence is not safety. That is why I'm asking this council to protect our constitutional rights and take responsible action by adopting a resolution that limits cooperation with ICE while upholding the rule of law. Local government should protect its residents, not amplify fear in their daily lives. When people are afraid of their own government, something is deeply wrong. It is our responsibility at every level to choose courage over compliance and accountability over silence. Thank you.
And I apologize for these. Apologize. Sometimes when they're written, I'm not sure. Is this Oriana or Oriana Schroeder?
This is my first city council meeting. I'm a 20-year-old. I know. I'm a 20-year-old in this community, and I've been here for 3 years, and I've been coming here for 8. And the fact that I've seen this community come from a loving, very fun community and turn into one that I am scared of, that my friends and family are terrified of, brings me disdain, and I feel embarrassed being here. And so I called to ask, what will we do when ICE comes? That is all.
Tom Hamilton, take a stand.
Tom Hamilton, Ocean Shores. Mayor Eldwin, City Council members, city staff, my fellow citizens. On February 20th, 1970, I was sworn in as a commissioned officer of the United States Army. I took an oath to defend the Constitution of the United States. Like my brothers and sisters in the armed forces, I swore not to follow illegal orders. In combat in Vietnam, I did indeed refuse an illegal order. In 2009 and 2015, as an elected official in the state of Washington, again, I swore an allegiance to our Constitution of the United States, as did each of you at the dais. Today, our country is under attack from within by thugs pretending to be operating under the guise of following orders. That didn't work at Nuremberg, and it doesn't work today either. The murders of Renee Good and Alex Preddy is only a fraction of the cruel and horrendous actions of a rogue government gone wrong. Actions in cities like LA, Chicago, Minneapolis, and across this country. The prison camps where people and children are held without criminal charges and held for months with lack of due process afforded every person in this country is not about immigration. No, it's about racism. Time has come to stand up and say no more. Stand with your pledge to uphold and defend the Constitution of the United States and pass a resolution that says ICE is not welcome in Ocean Shores. And we, the citizens of this great city, do not condone this illegal and immoral actions taking place in our country. Now is not the time to cower and wring your hands, hide behind doubt, or be like Mayor Loophole and kick the can down the road. It is only through our collective voices we can make a change. I challenge you to do the right thing, to uphold your oath, to stand for truth and justice. We the people demand it. I am good and ready.
Jesse James, Sanctuary City, no cooperation with ICE.
Nuremberg trials. How will you be remembered? Will you be remembered as the ones who stood up for the people, to protect the people? Or the ones that cowered in fear and let ICE run amok? We're asking you to protect us from the people before we have to protect ourselves from them. We're asking you to make a stand before we have to. We're asking for a sanctuary city, or at the very least, saying they are not welcome. There's many people in this community willing to go to very far extremes if a simple word isn't said: safety. We're asking for safety. The current regime is quickly crumbling, losing their foothold, losing their strength, which only means one thing: it will increase their violence, increase their terrorism, and increase their boot on our neck. So we ask you to make the stand, and we'll stand with you, shoulder to shoulder against them. Please make us proud. Thank you.
And again, I'm not sure, I apologize on this. Is this Tenny Jones? Tenny, thank you.
Thank you for hearing us. My name is Tenny Jones, and that was my husband. I'm very proud of him. I want to start by saying some words from Alex Preddy. Freedom is not free. We have to work at it, nurture it, protect it, and even sacrifice for it. And it's our duty to stand up for our fellow neighbors. Excuse me. The over-eager, untrained enthusiasm of ICE is criminal, and it's immoral. Our immigration system has always been civil. I didn't even know that till the other day. It's not criminal. So therefore, no one can be illegal. A person cannot be illegal, even if you're undocumented, okay? Every one of us has been told that we have rights. Whether you're legal, undocumented, doesn't matter. You're human beings. We all are living, breathing human beings. I'm coming to you today as a veteran, as a citizen of this country, and of Ocean Shores. It is not enough for us to call these tactics politics and just stand back. It's not about politics anymore. It's about what's right and what's wrong, what's immoral, cruel, completely out of control. To be honest, it's a whole lot like what's going on in Iran. It's our duties as Americans to stand up for our fellow neighbors. And on that note, ICE has already been here. If we think we're safe because we're white, we're wrong. You're wrong. If you voted for this regime and you think you're safe, look at something besides Fox, okay? I came here for 3 reasons. I would like a statement made, a written statement. You know, Westport just did it. Bob Ferguson just did it for the state of Washington, a statement that says we do not stand with ICE. We do not stand with these tactics, and we're not going to allow them. The second thing is I asked for the sanctuary city. We have neighbors here that are Native. My husband is Native. They've been arresting Natives and dragging them to detention centers all across this country. If they don't belong, where the hell do we belong? Okay? If you think you're safe, you're wrong. Okay? And on that note, with our neighbors around us that are marginalized and people in our community who are also not white or don't look white, becoming a sanctuary city is our duty to protect our fellow neighbors. The third thing I'm asking for is an action plan. I heard the young lady talking about your emergency action plans. I used to work in emergency management with the military. This is an emergency. We need an action plan. What are we going to do when they come to that high school over there in outside of these gates? Do we know who the cops are going to respond? I haven't met anyone who knows. What are the police officers' stance on this? We need the city to take charge before the citizens do. If someone asked me what I'm willing to do, I had my chance to do something.
That's time.
We're all Minnesota now.
All right, this one has a topic, but not a name. Super Bowl Community Watch Party, inviting our community to a free watch party for the Super Bowl 2026. And I don't know who submitted it. Yeah, we're done? We're good? All right, okay. Lillian Broadbent, council processes and public priorities.
Lillian Broadbent, Ocean Shores, speaking to council, mayor, and fellow citizens. I am not as global. I'm focusing on our city. I've seen a lot of changes in the last year. Some of them good, some of them I didn't agree with, and that's just fine, that's the way it works. But what has concerned me is the role of our council members. They do not seem to be in the lead. Last year, there was no council retreat, no priorities established. Same thing with budgeting this year. The council was the following, not the leading. We have 2 major arms of government. Our mayor is responsible for administration. Our council is responsible for budgeting, for priorities, and policies, legislation. And what I have seen is that our council doesn't seem to be working as a body the way it originally, the way we envisioned it, or the way it was originally established. Our council should be working together. And you should already have legislative priorities for this year. Did we have anyone? We didn't do a public list of legislative priorities at the state level. I don't even know if anyone went. And if they did, I didn't hear them report back. We need to reactivate that. You need to get together and decide as a nonpartisan body what the issues are that need to be addressed in the next year for Ocean Shores. Now, obviously, our mayor has a list of the issues dealing with administration, but you are the legislative side. and you need to get busy again. We need to have representation at county and at Paul.
Olympia.
Okay, that part left me. But we need representation in outside facilities. And we don't need to have somebody there all the time, but we need to have someone on council who will go lead on that, who will attend commission meetings, who will attend port meetings. People that can bring back information to the body. And maybe this is all happening and I just don't see it anymore. But I don't see it publicly. I don't see it in these meetings. I've seen more dog ordinances in the last year than I have ever seen in this city.
That's time.
Thank you.
Kat Kaywood and Mel DeVore, no topic. Okay. Sylvia Fain, ice intrusion plans.
Hello, I'm Sylvia Fain, council, mayor. Haven't seen you guys in a while. Hi. I'm going to read, just so you guys have a sense of what, we have a big division in this town. I want to read to you what I received last night. I hadn't seen it before that. Hey, Sylvia, your group is so effing, with the real word, despicable. One of your attendees told a female from the convention that he would take her home and rape her. Shame, shame, shame on you and your disgusting cohorts. We stand with law enforcement. We stand with CBP. We stand with ICE. That's great. I don't have a problem with what they stand with. But, you know, it'd be really nice if we could try to get along. I work really hard at trying to communicate with people and trying to figure out, you know, what would be the best way for things to happen. Yes, we're going to still have protests. Yes, we're getting louder. And last weekend, it got pretty dicey out there. But I'll tell you what, I have the most wonderful people that are willing to fight for every one of you, even that are not, you know, Democrats or whatever. We're ready to fight. We want to protect the people in this community. And to do that, we're going to have to come together a little bit. And I tried a week or two ago to have kind of a little panel. And I would love it if any of you guys would love, and Frank and Scott and everybody, to be on that panel and talk about these things. Or, as you guys mentioned, you know, writing up a thing. But I think we really need some honest debate and discussion, not battling, but we don't have a plan. And when ICE shows up and they start dragging little kids out of the school and sending them to God only knows where, I have a little story here about that one cute little boy with the bunny hat on. You know, he's still detained. And they're trying to ship him back to El Salvador. He's never been there. Never been there. 6 years old. And they took him and they put him in front of his parents' door, and they made him knock with guns at his head because they wanted his mom. But she wouldn't open the door because she had 2 more littler kids in the house. This is inhumane. This is immoral. We are better than this. And I mean, every one of us should feel some responsibility and quit ignoring that this stuff is real. We heard so many Republicans walk out to where we were this weekend and say, one of them told me that they were sterilizing little children in pediatric offices. But I'm a nurse, so I know better than that. Thank you.
All right, the name is where the topic should be, so there's no name on this. It says ICE out, and it's from a Gmail account, and I don't know who.
Mayor, City Council members, and citizens of Ocean Shores. My name is Taylor Priest, and I've lived in Ocean Shores for 8 years. Thank you for this time and your attention. I would like to begin with the revelation and end with a moment of silence for Renee Good, Alex Preddy, and every other victim of ICE. The revelation occurred at a City Council meeting at this very podium. A long line of residents from both sides of the political aisle spoke. Left and right stood in alliance, expressing equal concern for our bears, beavers, and coyotes. In a single voice, Republican women, indivisible members, and everyone in between told the council unequivocally no trapping fur-bearing animals. The incredible social phenomenon that took place went largely unnoticed, though, as common ground sprouted between left and right for just an instant. There is the revelation. Except for one man who was content to allow liberal trapping and hunting on one's own property, agreement was unanimous. The divide was dissolved. I would like to stand on that common ground again and make a plea to this community, not for myself, but for every dog and cat traumatized and suddenly homeless. The brutality of ICE isn't limited or contained. 2 officers have killed citizens without apparent legal consequences. But some have already chosen to disbelieve these facts. So let's remove ICE brutality from the equation. Let's assume they abide by the law and respect the Constitution. Even given that unlikely circumstance, what of the critters left behind? When the humans leave, their dogs and cats are vulnerable victims with little hope of rescue. The rule of law calls for due process. We had no crisis that could possibly justify this attack by federal forces. Together, other Washington communities have removed ICE. Ocean Shores must act. I add my voice to turn up the increasing volume and press the mayor and city council to quickly move to make Ocean Shores a sanctuary city and a safe place again, and write an ordinance declaring ICE is not welcome here. Please join me now in a moment, or the time I have left, of silence for all ICE victims.
It's time.
Thank you.
Melissa Smith, why can't we have a difference of opinion without so much hate?
Good evening, Mayor, council members, and community. First, I'd like to acknowledge a phenomenal conference that came to our town this past weekend. Thank you, Roanoke, for another great conference. They've been coming here since 2009, and the number of attendees keeps rising. Attendance was about 600 coming in from all over the state, spending large amounts of money in our little town. There were great speakers, great conversations, and great people who attended who love God and their great country. Unfortunately, because of the poor state of many of our local hotels, they end up staying in the Quinault instead of within the city as they have done in years past. Thank you, George, for all that you and your staff did. You kept us all well fed with great food and definitely hydrated in one way or another. Simply outstanding. But most importantly, I would like to get a heartfelt thank you to our local police department. Thank you for risking your lives every single day to keep our community safe and for upholding your oath to the Constitution and the rule of law. Please know that the majority of Ocean Shore citizens support you and will stand behind you. You are all amazing. The next thing I'd like to address is the so-called peaceful protest that happened in front of the convention center on Saturday. This protest, like many others before it, was anything but peaceful. There are dozens of videos on social media platforms from people all over the state who attended the conference. Some who just wanted to go out and have a civil conversation to find out what they were protesting about. What they were met with was hostility, threats, name calling, screaming, and pointing in people's faces. But the most alarming and vile encounter, which I have given the coordinator of this protest a chance to answer to on multiple occasions and received no response, was a very young woman from our conference walked outside to take pictures and have conversations and was verbally assaulted by one of your attendees. The man screamed at her that he would take her home and fucking rape her. Let that sink in for just a moment. She was terrified. How was this peaceful? How was this okay? Screaming at one of our police officers, shame for simply responding to the call. How was that peaceful? There are numerous examples of this being anything but a peaceful protest. I'm going to reclaim my time if they're going to keep talking. I'd like the last 10 seconds put back on it, Allison, please. The protest was equipped with swastikas and upside-down crosses, amongst other disgusting signs. They verbally accosted Jewish attendees, calling them Nazis, even after they told them they were Jewish. I did write that to you. You didn't denounce it. You're damn right I wrote that to you.
All right, so we're going to move on to staff report, and we have our city administrator, Scott Anderson, up next.
All right. Good evening, Mayor, Council, citizens. I don't have prepared remarks, but I'd hinted last time that we had some major issues we were working on at the city. Didn't specify what they were. I still can't talk about all of them yet, but I will let you know about 3 things that we're kind of working on that are moving forward. Number 1 is the Ocean Shores Golf Course. As many of you probably know, Kurt Zander held a lease from our golf course. He ran it for almost 20 plus years. And then he retired about a year and a half ago, and the city had to look for a new model for the golf course. After thinking about various options that we could do, we went with a management company, and we put out a bid for management of the Ocean Shores Golf Course that would pay a consulting fee, and we would have a professional management company manage the golf course. We received 2 bids for that, and one of them was a company called Troon, which operates internationally. It has almost 1,000 golf courses that it manages around the world. We are ever a small municipal golf course, and for whatever reason, it didn't seem like we were number 1 on their priority list. And the type of fees that we were paying for this was just making this entire relationship really unprofitable for the city. We went from a case where we were only doing structural repairs on city property under Kurt to the point where we were paying out thousands and thousands of dollars that no longer made sense to us. So after sitting around with the mayor, myself, having talked to council, having talked to our finance director, Sarah Logan, we made the decision to terminate that relationship. And that relationship will actually officially end in just a handful of days. It'll end on the 31st of January. The question then becomes, when you have a large golf course and you have to maintain it and take care of it, and it's not just an amenity, obviously, for a golf course, for our golfers in the community, and it's not just an agency to draw tourism, but we have several hundred homes that are on the golf course as well. So we need to make sure that remains open and maintained. We have thought about putting out an RFQ that would be very similar to what Kurt had. We would not pay a management fee. All profits and losses would be associated with whoever took out that process. But we would like to know a little bit more about our own golf course before we do that, because unfortunately some of the numbers that were presented when this transition happened were somewhat inflated, and we just don't really have data as to honestly what it would cost to manage the golf course ourselves. So for the course of the next year, we are looking at the city managing it exactly the same way we would have with the convention center. We have someone in there that's right now that's with the community. He's in this community. He's been in that role before. He is a PHA professional. So we're going to look at that. We're going to be meeting with him on a very regular basis, going over the financials and seeing, is this something long-term where we would want to make it a city department or a city entity, much like the convention center is? Or is it something that it's too much, it's too costly, it's not cost effective for us, and we turn it out for an RFP and put it back out. But we need some time to evaluate that decision. So just so you know, the golf course is remaining open. It's going to remain functional. We're going to do everything we can to make it the best golf course we possibly can, keep the grounds green. But that is the plan right now, and that's where we're at. So that's the first item we've been working on. The second item, everything always comes in waves and comes in pairs. Well, Comcast we are very close to signing a franchise agreement. We're in the final process of it with Comcast, who also wants to come in and lay its own fiber down and offer people cable as opposed to just the internet access that's being operated by Hyperfiber. I suspect that document will be done and signed within the next 20 days or so, at which point everyone now suddenly wants to come into Ocean Shores and lay their own cable down. The good news is it will offer our consumers a lot of choice and a lot of variety in what kind of package they want, what kind of cable services they want. The bad news is it means we may have two companies sort of working in our right-of-way around the same time. But let's get it over, get it done. And if you have any complaints, the gentleman in the back, Ricky Victoriano, our Public Works Director, will field those. Don't call the City Administrator's office, call him. The third thing that we are working on, and it actually blended in, I wasn't ready to talk about part of it, but since we already started this conversation with Hannah and our Emergency Operations Manager, Mike Mandela, is emergency management planning. And we have 3 natural disasters that are very serious that could really impact the lives of multiple residents in Ocean Shores. And they are as follows. There's earthquakes, an out-of-control wildfire that gets into the dunes and becomes a sort of Lahaina incident for us, on a hot summer day with the wax myrtle and everything that we have back there, and then an earthquake itself within the city. And we are in a subduction zone where that could legitimately happen up and down the coast. So those are the 3, we've been working with emergency management. Those are the 3 areas that we identified as natural disasters that could cause large-scale loss of life and property. Michael Mandela, who was here earlier next to Hannah Cleverly from the county, has composed the first draft of what we do if there is an earthquake. What are the city's priorities? How do we manage to work with our equipment? How do we get people to safety? What do we look at? I think we all know there's only one way in, one way out of Ocean Shores. We had Washington State Department of Emergency Management come down here, and the gathering place originally for where we were supposed to meet was up in Hogan's Corner at the high ground at the old airport there. It's the only place that's really high enough that if there's a major Cascadia event, the tsunami wouldn't reach it. It's above 65, 70 feet in elevation. The problem is after doing analysis and assessment, they really concluded we probably would not be able to get there quickly enough. Trees are going to come down, power lines are going to come down, those roads are going to be blocked, and by the time we have those structures removed, it's going to be upon us. So the plan now is that we will be hosting our gatherings at the Ocean Shores Airport, and there's several reasons for that. One, it's on the far side of the city in case there is an event. It's flat enough, and we can helicopter people in and out. Evacuation crews can get in and out. But we need to practice all of that. So there's going to be some practicing for emergency management purposes. I know that I am going up to Montesano on Thursday to meet with Hannah and make sure that we're part of this county-wide coordination efforts. But that also leads me to the last point that was being made today, and Councilmember Dooley was asking about that. What is our plan for tsunami? This is kind of a long, I don't think there's anything that's been longer than that since I've been here. We've been doing this for 6 years now. We finally sort of had everything in place to build our first tsunami tower. We were moving toward completion on that. Then suddenly the administration canceled the funding. FEMA went through a reorganization phase. A federal judge has now ordered that we get that money back. This is not official, so it's why I put it in the category of things that are likely to happen but are not done. There's a very good chance we are going to get that money back, which would allow us to build our first tower. When that happens, I will sort of notify everyone. But Hannah's very right. It really is, when you look at all the models and simulation, based on the fact that we are on a liquefied sandbar. We're on a sandbar in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. The tsunami tower is really the only thing that's going to make structural sense to save our residents' lives. But I will keep you updated on that. And that is my city administrator report for the evening.
All right, thanks, Scott. We have a financial report from our finance director, Sarah Logan.
So every year, just so everybody's kind of clear on how this process happens, The city, prior to May 31, is required to do what's called an annual report of the prior year. That annual report reflects the revenue and the expenses, doing this for council and everybody that doesn't know how this process goes out. So that annual report then goes through our restricted funds, which are like our LTAC funds are considered restricted, our public facilities district, which is the convention center you're in right now, is restricted. TBD is restricted. So they go through all these things. They look at our procurement, or we look at our procurement. We have to provide endless documentation, and it's a lot of work, which in 2025 is what made the finance team and the finance committee and the council kind of do that big budget project, because when we uploaded everything, it went, those aren't real numbers. So that's what we spent the majority of 25 fixing. Councilmember Wills did a lot of work on that specifically. That annual report is submitted to the Washington State Auditor's Office. And based on that annual report and what the city provides, it's what chain reacts your audit. So every year, municipalities get audited. They do their accountability audit and their financial audit. Financial audit is always, accountability audit is most of the time. And then if you have expended more than $750,000 in federal funds, you get a federal audit also. So with all of that being said, the auditor's office does this very 5-minute entry conference where they say, hi, we're the auditor's office. This is what we do. And that's that. And then you don't hear from them for months and months and months down the road. And so in those months, they are taking everything that we provided them and they are saying, was that true, or are you pulling a fast one? That's essentially what they're looking for. And so in that time, we probably provided them about 8,000 documents, very literally, everything we did for procurement, everything we did for expenditures, but our work has paid off because now everything for the most part in the city is electronic, so it was just one file after another. Then when they close out, they do an exit conference that is very similar to the entrance conference, which is, you have no deficiencies, congratulations. In years past, I have heard where people are like, well, they had to have found something. And they do. And when they come to these exit conferences, it's only, there's 3 levels. There's a recommendation, there's a finding, and there's a management letter. With those 3 things, nothing, unless it's a management letter, is broadcasted to the world. But if you receive a recommendation, which is things that nobody's pulling anything funny, it's just, hey, we think you could do better doing X, Y, and Z. When they begin this process, they do what's called a risk assessment also. And so they will pull the finance director. I asked for my assistant treasurer. They have one city council member, which this last year was Mayor Pro Tem Sires, and then they have the mayor. And they go through and they individually ask us, do you feel that there's any direct risks? They give you that opportunity. So it's not the mayor, sitting right here and you don't feel comfortable talking about that, a council member versus what a mayor says or the finance director. And then they investigate those and they see, hey, is that actually a risk or are you worried about nothing? So when it's all said and done, if there is no deficiencies, meaning no management letter, no findings, they just kind of say, good job, congratulations, and walk away. A lot of money and time later. But I wanted to follow up because they do give us recommendations, and then we wanted to tell the council about it. We went over it at Finance Committee because I think it's worth noting that even the auditors keep us on our toes, and they do say, work on this. And when a recommendation is given, it's automatic that the very next year they're going to check all that again. So we had 3 recommendations from the state auditor's office. One was on OPMA, and it was executive session. And it's not what the council did. It's not how, it wasn't even the mayor's fault. It's how we wrote the narrative on the paper that he reads off, or I holler at him to read it. They have, every year it changes. And this year on our minutes, It's all about how you wrote it on the minutes. The mayor says we're going to go into an executive session at 8 o'clock, and it's going to be over in 20 minutes. But because the mayor didn't say it's going to be over at 8:20, that was a recommendation. We need you to write that in there. So every year it's one of those, and I swear to you, it's no joke. So anyway, so the second thing they had a recommendation on was our small and attractive assets list. In 2019, the city had hired a temporary employee to go around the entire city and tag our small and attractive assets. They provided lists. Those lists were sent out to departments. In 22, we did a small and attractive asset policy for everybody to follow. What that policy failed to say is what happens when you turn in your battery to Motorola and you don't sticker the one that came in. So our small and attractive assets, they spot checked 20 of them, and 12 of them we didn't have, but not for nefarious reasons. Motorola batteries at the fire department are on a contract. Once one hits its time, it gets turned in to the Motorola company and they get a new one. They didn't put the sticker on it and write it down. So we've already brought that forward to the department heads. It'll absolutely be a thing that's checked in the future. We did speak at our finance committee because we'd like to bulk up that small and attractive assets, make it very clear and concise. But we would like, at this time, after going through and kind of hearing the auditor's feedback on it, we would like to tie our small and attractive assets into our large assets and how we surplus. So when our IT person uses his abilities and doesn't have to go and buy a whole new system because he's got parts over here from one that's dead, he writes that down properly so that it's surplus properly. So what it did is it gave us good feedback that, hey, you could bulk up your surplus mechanisms and how you do that going forward too. So the finance team with the finance committee and then of course council will be working on that in the next 3 months to just kind of tighten it all up. So I know people get really worried about recommendations, but I'm like, this just makes us look better. So the last one, and this is honest review, when I had my risk assessment only a year, well, not even, maybe a year into finance director, there were two portions that I was very uncomfortable with always. They were our contractual agreement with District 7 where our fire department has an agreement with the county for a certain district to render aid. And you may have heard on the finance committee, we kind of fought the battle and got $80,000 that we were owed of public money. It's kind of been a thing. So that was one of my risks. Like, do we kind of move away because we are in a dangerous spot of gifting public funds by continuing this relationship and not getting payment? And then we had the municipal court. The municipal court in all municipalities is very unique. It's its own judicial branch. The mayor and city administrator have no say over the employees. It's the judge. The council sets the budget. It's very, very weird. So in municipal court, unlike everything else finance related, the clerk can handwrite a check for restitution reimbursement. There's no dual control on deposits, these kinds of things, which made me hyperventilate. And I said, there's got to be better. And so we reached out to a few different courts just to make sure we were in line before we went down a path. And then, of course, we got Judge Tasher. And that was part of their recommendation. Dual controls, signatures, dual signatures on checks. These are the way all the things finance related through the rest of the municipality has to be completed. So with the judge's help, the mayor's help, city administrator's help, we're in that process right now. We're auditing the whole program. I shouldn't say we, the judge is auditing the whole program because at the end of the day, the judge is on the hook for all things related to the court. So Judge Tashner's taken that very seriously. They're reviewing the financials that we've provided, the things we'd like to see to better be transparent when it comes to municipal court, and for time efficiency. It takes my assistant treasurer about an hour just to reconcile the municipal court transmittals at the end of the month, and it shouldn't take that, but it's fumbling through things. So those were the 3 recommendations. No deficiencies, no hidden money, no illegal use of things, no illegal purchases. We followed all procurement. Council did their job, administration did their job, but always, you can never make it out scot-free. They will give you a recommendation, and I've never heard that brought forward. So these are the things they said. These are the things we're going to work on. They'll come and review them again next year. I'm sure there'll be another executive session every year. So I just wanted to tell you guys about that. We went over it at finance, and I thought it'd be a good experience for everybody to kind of hear how that whole process works. What do you got? I can feel it. I can feel it. I can see it.
All right. Questions? Richard?
So, surprise, I have a question and maybe a
I
comment.
believed it.
So when I first read the outbrief back when that was, there's a comment in there for those in the public who've read the financial outbrief and are confused by, where it appeared that the auditors were slamming us because we use cash accounting rather than the general accepted. And Sarah, you can explain that better than I can, but that was not a bash. That is a state law that says they have to report that the way they report it. So those of you who read that, just recognize that's state law that says because we use cash accounting instead of the general accepted accounting rules, that they have to comment on that. So that's my comment on. My other thing is, Sarah, thank you for the outstanding job that you have done and another stellar audit season. I don't know what the other cities' audits look like, but our audits have been B+ to A+ for the 9 years that I've lived here. And it's astonishing that, to me, that you earn such a stellar report and not be a certified accountant. That you're taking your innate intelligence and your desire to do right and do well, and have continued to run a superb financial section. Thank you.
Any other questions from council? All right. Thank you, Sarah. All right, so we'll move on to council liaison reports and council committee reports, and we'll start off with Kurt.
Thank you, Mayor. I attended the Public Safety Advisory Board meeting. The police chief reported that offers of employment have been tendered to 2 police recruits pending completion of background checks, and that will bring the department back to full staffing. The fire department reported that they're planning to have the South Station staffed sometime in April. And thank you, Mr. Mayor, for confirming that the current color of the South Station is not the final color.
That's just a primer color.
Okay. I also signed warrants this week.
Thank you. Richard.
The Parks Board met on the 14th of January, and the things of note is lights are going to be installed at the skateboard park for skaters so they can skate at night. We're still waiting on cameras for the North Bay and Chinook Park, and we're waiting to install a water fountain in the spring for the Emerson Park. The board is conducting a survey on the completed parks for Chinook, Emerson, and Skateboard Park. You can access the survey off the city's website and it's on the park's Facebook page. It will be live on April 1st. And then the other thing of note for many of you, starting March 1st, you can check out pickleball equipment from the library using your library card for free for up to 1 week. So pickleball is becoming a more and more popular activity. And now you don't have to go out and buy your paddle. You can go to the library and check it out like a book. That's all I have. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Richard. Denise.
I also signed warrants. I attended the LTAC committee, and the three things of note there was that we reviewed and approved the reimbursement policy, which is now how we are paying the applicants who are receiving funds. They are receiving it either to reimburse what they have already spent, or they will give us an invoice. We also have a schedule for the applicants to report. Previously, the applicants did not report on a quarterly basis. Now they will be doing that. And we did decide to open spring applications starting March 1st. So the open period will be March 1st through the 31st. I also attended finance. Sarah already talked about the stellar audit that she and the department got. We also covered the rate studies. We had asked a listing of when the last rate studies were conducted, and that was for water, EMS, storm, and the upcoming sewer. And there are several items, 3 items on tonight's agenda that we also covered at Finance.
Thank you. Allison.
I attended Public Safety, which Councilmember Dooley reported on. I attended Finance, which Sarah and Councilmember Sires reported on, and Public Works. The new grader is here, and people have been trained. And then Ricky has some things he'll be bringing forward.
All right, thanks. Lisa Griebel.
Thank you, Mayor. I attended the Public Works Committee.
Tom.
I sat in on the Finance Committee, and good job. So I also missed the radio board this morning, but I will review it. And Public Safety, I missed that one, but I reviewed it. And I met with Frank for coffee.
All right. Can we get a motion to approve the consent agenda? What's that? I don't have one.
Motion, I move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Frank, I'd like to make a motion at this time if I can. And I'm asking,
I guess it's it's the council's meeting.
So I would like to make a motion that with all of the public comment that we had about ICE and Sanctuary City, I would like to make a motion that the city council have that public discussion at our next council meeting. And I want to wait for then instead of now, because I want us all to consider and prepare for what we, the council, want to respond to the public need for becoming a sanctuary city and making a citywide policy that supports the statewide. The state is already a sanctuary state, but there's advantages to the city also being a sanctuary state. So anyway, I make a motion that we have a council discussion, open discussion at the next council meeting to discuss being a sanctuary city, its pros and cons.
So you're making a motion to have that as a discussion item at the next agenda setting?
No, at the next council meeting. I want to go around agenda setting. I want to make sure that the council decides whether or not this gets on the agenda.
Well, council has always decided what's on the agenda, but is there a second for that motion?
I second it.
All right, you want to explain your motion one more time?
Well, so I think the motion's clear. I want to give a little background. I have 2 kids. They're both adults, obviously. I have 3 grandkids, and I have 5 great-grandkids. They are all of mixed heritage. I feel very threatened by what is currently happening in our country. And as I have matured, even though I'm a retired Army guy, I have assumed a very, as well as I can, nonviolent position. And the best way that I can think of to help defend us, our city, all of our residents in the city, is to become a sanctuary city. And it may be only a symbol, but I think it's a powerful symbol. And so the motion is, I want to have a council discussion at the next council meeting to discuss the pros and cons of becoming a sanctuary city.
Right, any other comments from council? Yes, Lisa?
So I appreciate Richard making the motion to put it on the agenda. And I've talked before about possibly making changes to our council guidelines. I do miss the section that we used to have at the end when we would openly discuss as a council things that we were working on and then vote as a council when all of us here present when we wanted to see something on the next agenda. And I do realize that council is part of working with our city to determine the agenda, but that is one of the last meetings it's not a public meeting. Agenda setting is not a public meeting. And I think when we make a motion to put something on the agenda here publicly for us all to discuss, I do like that method. So I will be supporting Richard's motion because I want all of us to decide if we want something on the agenda next time.
All right, any other comments or, yes, Denise?
I appreciate Lisa's comment, and one of the things that I will be putting on the agenda for next meeting is a council retreat. So thank you to Lillian for her comments. I do think it is time to take a look at the council guidelines again. We looked at them last year, and I'm willing. I think we should think about who would like to volunteer for a revision of the council guidelines. But at this point, I'm uncomfortable about the guidelines that we have accepted and simply going around them. If the council would like that on the agenda, everyone on the council has the option to submit agenda items. And at least until those guidelines are changed, I would prefer that we follow what we have actually adopted.
Any other yes, Lisa?
And I appreciate those comments, Denise. And we can submit agenda items, but it's still the decision about what goes on the agenda is still done at agenda setting. And there are only 3 council members there, and basically it takes 2 to get something on the agenda. So I still prefer what Richard has done about having that. Let's just decide now if we want something on the agenda, because we can still, as a council, decide to put something on the agenda when at the beginning of each meeting, we can make a motion to amend an agenda. So that's yet another opportunity to put something on the agenda. So we'll just see how the vote goes.
You know, Lisa, what you just said is probably the right approach. That's what's been done in the past, is you do that when we decide whether we want to accept the agenda, to make a motion to add something at that time.
I didn't decide to add this to the agenda until after that public necessary outcry that motivated me to make this motion.
Okay, well, we can do it next meeting when we talk about the agenda, approving it. You can add it. Yes, Lisa.
And what I heard when Richard made that motion is one of the reasons he made that motion is he wanted all of us here to have time to prepare for that discussion. And by waiting to add it during making a motion to amend an agenda, then something can be added to the agenda that me as a council member, I'm not prepared to have the discussion. So I think Richard was trying to be mindful of that in order for us to prepare.
Well, that's not my decision, so we got a second. Let's go ahead and all in favor.
Aye.
Okay, we have 3? Nope.
4.
We have 4. Can we do a roll call?
Councilmember Sires?
No.
Councilmember Sires is a no. Councilmember Taylor?
Yes.
Councilmember Taylor is a yes. Councilmember Griebel?
Yes.
Councilmember Griebel is a yes. Councilmember Klein?
Yes.
Councilmember Klein is a yes. Councilmember Wills?
Yes.
Councilmember Wills is a yes. Councilmember Dooley?
Yes.
Councilmember Dooley is a yes. That's 5 yeses and 1 no.
All right. Is that it for motions? We can move on? All right. I'd like to get a motion to approve the consent agenda. Oh, did we do that? Oh. I lost track, sorry. All right. We'll move on to item 9. That's an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Ocean Shores, Washington, amending section 6.04.010 and 6.04.015 of the Ocean Shores Municipal Code, providing for servability and establishing an effective date. And this will be presented by our Police Chief Nikki Logan and Deputy Chief Carrie Vesco.
Good evening again, Council. So we are back with the dangerous dog ordinance, and we made some additional changes after reviewing numerous ordinances from throughout the state, from Hoquiam to Aberdeen to Lacey to Clark County, kind of went all over the gamut. We made an additional change to definition 1 under dangerous dogs, where it states that without provocation has inflicted severe injury on a person on public or private property, unless it can be shown by a preponderance of the evidence that the injury was sustained by a person who at the time was committing a willful trespass or other tort upon the premises occupied by the owner of the dog, was tormenting, abusing, or assaulting the dog, in the past has been observed or reported to have tormented, abused, or assaulted the dog, or was committing or attempting to commit a crime. So we did not have that in the ordinance previously, so we went ahead and added that. And then we also went to Section A under dangerous and or potentially dangerous declaration, service, and administrative appeals, which is 6.04.015. Did I skip one? I think I skipped one, but I think it's because we didn't have an issue with adding the word private to the other section, which was under potentially dangerous dogs. I think we were missing the word private from public or private property. That was added on there. And then, as I was saying, back to 6.04.015, there was a question that was brought up at council at the last meeting about how our code enforcement officers make that determination. So I found the language in one of the other ordinances where it states that the animal control officer shall have the authority to declare a dog to be a dangerous dog upon receiving a report and making a determination by a preponderance of the evidence. So that suffices that missing language there. And I think those are all the changes that we had with regards to that ordinance.
All right. Any public comment? Seeing none. Council? Yes, Lisa?
Thank you. And I appreciate the work that both of you did on the second reading. I have a question. It's on page 81 of 116 of the whole packet, or page 3 of 5 of this ordinance packet. And it's under foster care provider. And I'm just asking if we have the right language for referencing the dog kennel, because we're calling it the Ocean Shores Kennel. So is that just a broad enough definition, since we're currently in a community? We currently cooperate with a nonprofit to do the kennels. So I just want to make sure that that's broad enough term that no matter what happens, it's covered under that ordinance.
Right, so it says under foster care provider, it means an individual providing foster care at his or her place of residence as an agent or designee of the Ocean Shores Kennel. So it is established in ordinance.
I think it's fine to leave it that way, just because the building is city-owned. And if that organization that is currently running it changes to another organization, we don't have to go and change the wording in the ordinance.
Thank you.
Right. Any other questions? Yes, Richard.
I would like to make a motion to approve the ordinance of the City Council of the City of Ocean Shores, Washington, amending section 6.04.010 and 6.04.015 of the Ocean Shores Municipal Code, providing for severability and establishing an effective date.
Second.
All right, we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, unanimous. Thank you. All right, don't go anywhere. The request of the City Council of the City of Ocean Shores, Washington, to approve the Ocean Shores Police Department to compensate a mandated reserve police officer. And that is presented by Chief Nikki Logan and Deputy Chief Gary Vesco.
So we currently only have one reserve officer. And by policy right now, he has to work a minimum of 20 hours a month as part of participating in this program. The compensation that we're seeking is when he's mandated to work. Dates that he's mandated to work are 4th of July, or when we have larger events or gatherings in the city. The money's already been budgeted for. It comes out of our overtime budget, so it's not an additional expense to the city. And we're just seeking the council's approval to approve that expenditure of $4,500, which is what we've calculated the excess hours would cost us.
All right. Any public comment? No, don't see any. Council? Yes, Kurt?
Do you view this as a temporary safety valve, or is this a current, is this going to be an ongoing thing going forward?
So I think for right now, with the size and scope of just the 4th of July itself, I think it's going to be a potentially recurring issue. And that's why we're looking at being proactive about it instead of being reactive.
Okay, thank you.
All right, any other questions?
Just for clarification, in case the folks at home don't know, and for council's re-information, when you hear the volunteer staff for the Ocean Shores Fire Department, those are actually paid. So essentially, when we call in all of the volunteers that are at the Ocean Shores Fire Department for something like 4th of July, they are accommodated with a paycheck. So this is the Ocean Shores Police Department building off of that and doing the same thing for these specific times. Sometimes that word volunteer changes things, but for them it's paid.
Yes, Richard.
I think you stated, but I want to clarify, you have the money in your budget to pay this, and there's enough so that if this volunteer accrues more hours, it's not going to become an overtime or a budget crisis. The money's available.
That's correct. We forecasted that amount based on the special events that the city hosts and the approximated hours that he would be working during those events. And again, this money would only be paid out once he's worked those 20 hours that he has to work by policy.
Thank you.
Yes, Allison.
So I would like to go ahead and make a motion to approve a request of the City Council of the City of Ocean Shores, Washington, to approve the Ocean Shores Police Department to compensate a mandated reserve police officer.
Second.
All right, we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, unanimous. Thank you. All right. Next up, a request of the City Council of the City of Ocean Shores, Washington, to approve the City of Ocean Shores to transition from a biannual budget to an annual budget. And that'll be presented by our Finance Director, Sarah Logan.
Okay, so we already kind of did the budget project explanation again earlier when we were talking about the audit. And when we started the biennial budget in 2024, as you all know, we had awesome time with the product that was purchased before I got here, especially when it crashed twice and we all cried. But when we were doing that, it felt very uncomfortable at that time. And the reason being is because we're in the middle of so many things that economically it's hard. I mean, already trending out a year, ups and downs in market and revenue streams and valuations for property taxes it's a guess for what it's been before and what you almost hope it'll be going forward. So when we were trying to do that for 2 years, that is uncomfortable. The needs of like you just heard, the police department, additional staffing at the fire department, equipment. It's very uncomfortable to say, let's just keep budgeting. We can't really put money aside because we're just automatically going to budget any of that money for that second year. So I think that we've talked and discussed through finance committee and here at the council meetings, as we've talked about that budget project and the reallocation, cost allocation, that we wanted to get back to a place where we could just do annual budgets. And with our annual budgets, which we have not been good at in the past, is when we get to that point, which we're going to be starting that in May, it's not going to be this how it used to be, where it's just everybody comes to the mayor and says, I want this, I want that, this is old, I need this. It's going to be more of a deal with what you have and give me what you need to start putting in reserves to make that asset where we can buy it, and everything doesn't come to the council as an emergency. We're grateful for our utility funds that have those capital improvement monies, but you know, a lot of stuff through the city comes through the general fund and we don't do a great job. You witness that with the, I call it scuba gear, SBACF, stuff that the fire department needed for oxygen. And the council had to say yes. I mean, what else are you going to say? What if we didn't have that? That was equipment that they knew they were going to need. At a point, there had been $150,000 put away, and then it got pushed back into the general fund and sold to you as surplus. So we want to start baseline budgeting. We want to start reserve programs. We have Ricky, who will be up here anytime, that is outstanding at his job and understanding what he needs for equipment, what training he needs, all of these things. So we can really start with that in year one and just do economically 1 year at a time.
All right. Thank you. Public comment. We have one online. That's going to be tough when you're sitting in that.
I already unmuted it.
Oh,
just say Dawn. Oh,
Yeah,
Lillian.
Are we okay?
Yeah, go ahead, Dawn.
Okay, good evening. First of all, I'm in favor of going back to the annual budget for all the reasons that Sarah just stated and also eloquently stated in the agenda bill. So I won't go into those. Anyhow, one of the reasons I was there, this was in 2018 when we went to this, we changed it. I was there. The reasons that were given was, first of all, number one was the financial director wanted to do it. Now we have a different financial director, and that's the different topic. The other reason that was given was this was supposed to allow the council to do planning, giving more time by having a biennial budget, meaning not having to mess around with it at the end of the first year. However, I'm not aware of any advantage that the council has had in the way of planning as a result of having more time as a result of the budget. So as far as I'm concerned, the reasons that were given involving those things were just simply not valid. So now we're in the second half of the year of the fourth biennial budget. We've been doing this for a long time. I have a couple of questions I wish somebody would ask. First of all, have other cities have been on the biennial budget and wanted to get rid of it and go back? I think that's the case. And is there any, maybe Sarah can answer that, is there any information about why cities don't want to stay on the biennial budget? Like I said, I'm in favor of the annual budget. The second thing is that the agenda bill talks about making a transition. That's the word used, from a biennial to an annual budget. What is meant by a transition? Hopefully it's something that's not going to take years. And I'm assuming that we're going to be on, if council approves this, we're going to be on the annual budget for the next calendar year. In other words, beginning in 2027. So I'd like that confirmation that this is an immediate cutoff, and we'll be on that starting next year. And the third thing is Sarah explained it a little bit, but how is there going to be any change in the budget process? And maybe you've adequately addressed that. I remember having a lot of public meetings where they Everyone heard about what the different departments wanted. It was a lot of public meetings back in those days. I mean, a lot really, and is that apparently not going to continue? And are there going to be any discussions at all about what the requests are being made, or is it all going to be made behind closed doors? So those are my questions. First of all, the history of changing over, and second of all, what does a transition mean? And third, any differences between what's being done now and what will be done with the annual budget, which I'm in favor of. Thank you.
All right, thanks. Next up is Lillian.
I'm glad to see this topic come up. I think that it's very dependent on the circumstances and the staffing we have at any given time. I think at the time we went to a 2-year budget, it kind of made sense. But as a citizen, I've lost all visibility of what the requests were, what was granted, and what was going. And I hope that we return to those open meetings where the requests are made and decisions are made in public. The going to a 1-year budget will work just fine. And if it works better for our staff now, I'd say I'm all in favor of it. And again, it's one of those things that is pretty dependent on who's doing it and, you know, what their experience level and all the rest. I think for this particular complement of council people and staff, a yearly budget makes absolute sense. And I would go along with Dawn. I would love to see it back out in public. Thank you.
All right. Any other public comments? I'm not seeing any. Council, any comments? Yes, Denise?
So typically we don't do this, so nobody like get used to it. But I'm going to say these things because in 2024, I took over as finance director in June. Surprise to my team, surprised to do the city clerk stuff at the same time, and surprised to learn an entirely new software that, like I said, crashed twice. So when we tried to do the budget, the city staff came to the mayor and said, these are the things that we'd like. Lillian is totally correct in that it used to be where they would come to the mayor and then they'd come here. Like, these are the things and these are the whys. And then a lot of that conversation would happen. Like, and sometimes public comment was added. The reason that didn't happen was completely and entirely my fault. By the time we got it all figured out and how to put all the things into the system and meet all of the required guidelines for Washington State, we didn't have time. And so that's why we've been kind of ebb and flow on if there's a change that needs to be made or a new purchase that we haven't necessarily thought about. Even though we're kind of in this place where we should be doing business as usual, it's come in front of the council because we weren't able to have all of that in front, like all of the requests that are coming. And they're, you know, maybe they're under the mayor's, you've seen lots of requests for South Station that are within the mayor's spending authority, but we've brought them because when we did that, it was a very quick, let's throw this $650,000 over for capital facilities and then we'll come to you when we need it kind of deal. So that is why the finance committee and the finance team beginning in February will begin the budget calendar process. So it'll be the finance committee working with us on behalf of the council to say what that calendar looks like and get it posted to the community for all of the comment events, all of the things where, you know, Public Works, and he will talk about what he needs wherever he is. So it, you know, there's like a whole council meeting that's like specific to Public Works, but we can do those understudy sessions or what have you. There has been a absolute ton of cities that tried a biennium budget and realized that was their worst nightmare for accounting purposes. So we actually went to a municipal boot camp, and that was like a whole topic in itself, is people that did, or places that did biennium versus annual. And it was a lot of smaller, like utility companies, like your, not RPUD, but like the small ones, places that would do those bienniums, and that was okay. Our transition specifically will be, as we work through this calendar, it will be for 27. So 26, we are still, in a biennium. So we'll move into that in 2027. And I think that's it. I think
All right.
that's it.
All right.
We're done.
That was good. Thank you. All right. Yes, go ahead. You got a question?
I got a question.
All right.
You knew it was coming. From a governance perspective, how does this change council's oversight and timing and ability to shape long-term priorities?
Well, that is the challenge, is that biennium or annual, it is still how on top of it the council stays, and the administration is held to that standard. Again, that's the will of the mayor at this point. Also is, Sarah, all the software things budgeted and what we will need going forward. You just saw it at the last council meeting where we didn't budget a 3-year renewal on agreements. Like, these are the kind of things that we need to get. So it doesn't change your scope at all. It actually holds our feet to the fire even more. And it holds us, I feel, accountable, because it's not 2 long years and it's not a lot of staff looking at 2 years and saying, oh, we got tons of money. That's the biggest thing that we run into, is you have to constantly remind community and staff, nope, that's got to last 2 years. It's cool that you have 10,000, but 5's for this year, 5's for next year. So I think if anything, it holds us more accountable.
Okay, that's helpful. I just want to make sure we're not trading speed and convenience for council oversight and transparency, as the speaker said.
Yeah, and when the biennium was brought forward, like Mr. Williams had said, it was that was supposed to make it easier. I never saw it, because we still went through the same process every mid-biennium. We still met with everybody in May. Like, it was the same process, but you were fumbling with a larger amount of money. So, thank you. You're very welcome.
Yes, Richard?
So thank you for answering those questions. And I very much supported the biennium at that time. It was a wonderful but failed experiment. And my observation is, just as you've just said, we're spending as much time every year as we spent doing an annual, and there's much more confusion, because it's just like the water bill. It's a 2-month bill, not a 1-month bill, and how many people are confused. So I think that this is a very good move.
Go ahead, Denise.
I move to approve a request of the City Council of the City of Ocean Shores, Washington, to approve the City of Ocean Shores to transition from a biennial budget to an annual budget.
Second.
All right, we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, unanimous. Thank you. All right, next up, thanks, Sarah. We have a request to the City Council of the City of Ocean Shores, Washington, to approve the purchase of a F3710 Kubota Tractor Mower. And that's being presented by our Public Works Director, Ricardo Victoriano.
Good evening, Council. Feels like I was here 2 weeks ago. A little bit of backstory on the funds. It's kind of in the agenda bill, but I know that I was here not too long ago. We went over a purchase for a 2019 Kenworth T880 dump truck that is working phenomenal for Public Works. We had $250,000 budgeted for that, and we were able to find a great deal on this truck that had been completely rebuilt from the ground up, just about. So we had a $60,000 surplus from that purchase, and the request is to use $33,666.99 of that surplus to purchase this mower. We had a John Deere tractor mower that was decommissioned at the start of last summer, and we had a rental mower. I can't remember where from, but we can't rent a mower big enough for the ones that we need. So it was being put through everything it shouldn't be, just to get the job done, and it got stuck often, and that was just more time to go pull it out of whatever rut it was stuck in. And these are all-wheel drive. They work great for all of our big medians, big green lush medians that we have all summer. So yeah, I think that about covers it.
All right. Public comment? Seeing none. All right. Council. Yes, Kurt.
When I first saw this, and I mentioned it to somebody, they said $33,000 for a mower. Can you explain how this is more than just a mower?
Yeah, so it's not just a regular one that you go buy at Ace Hardware or rent from Ace Hardware. You know, like I said, we can't rent one this big. So it's essentially a 3-cylinder diesel mounted on a small tractor frame that they use a front mount mower deck. It's 72 inches wide, so you know, taller than most people. So it's quite the piece of equipment. The other thing is that we are purchasing this on a state contract, so it's already gone through a bid process, and we get a $7,400 discount on that. So.
Yes, Richard.
So Sarah brought this up when she was up speaking, and I'm all in favor of doing this. My comment is, it appears that you are already getting prepared to pre-warn the council when you need staff or you need equipment. It always comes as a surprise to me that I never knew that we needed a mower, and how come I didn't know? And so communication is the secret to success. And so when the council is advised in advance that this is in the pike, this is coming down, then we can think about how that is going to affect the budget. So that has very little to do with this particular purchase, but I wanted to take this opportunity. I look forward to you telling us what you need so that we come forewarned.
Yeah, thank you. I'm looking forward to it as well.
All right, Denise?
Yeah, as you know, we have a capital facilities plan, and I think on the same line that Richard was talking, one of the things that we haven't seen is a equipment plan, because we are getting these requests, and we know you're new in the job, but we are getting surprised with all of the requests from Public Works. Is that something that you're working on?
I have a complete document ready for next budget, and I can bring that to you at the next Public Works Committee meeting.
All right. Yes, Allison.
I would like to go ahead and make a motion to approve a request of the City Council of the City of Ocean Shores, Washington, to approve the purchase of an F3710 Kubota tractor mower.
Second.
All right, we have a second. All in favor? All right, unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we got a discussion on our stormwater rate study, and that's going to be presented by Becky Leach, our project manager, and Finance Director Sarah Logan.
Good evening. I'm going to go first. So a couple months ago, Herrera presented their cyanobacteria master plan at a town hall. That plan delivered 3 levels of service for our waterways, and the level of service breakdown was provided for you guys in your council packet. The estimated cost for the low level of service for the fresh waterways is $285,000 over the first 3 years and $41,000 per year after. And the plan goes for 20 years. The estimated cost for the medium level of service is $1.38 million for the first 3 years, and then $353,000 for each year after. The estimated cost for the high level of service is $2 million in the first 3 years and $570,000, excuse me, per year after. The first 3 years are estimated to have higher costs because that's when we would incur costs for consultants and equipment to be purchased and things like that. And the levels of service, they're not set in stone. For example, some items from level of service 3 could be included with level of service 2 or 1. And the city plans to work with Herrera Consulting, Aquatechnics, and our amazing Fresh Waterways Advisory Board, who are sitting right there. Still, and thank you for coming. And then we are bringing this forward with the stormwater rate study because it's relevant in the fact that the Fresh Waterways projects will all be paid out of the stormwater fund. And we wanted council to have all of this information prior to making formal decisions on what to do with the rate study.
So from a financial perspective, when you are going through this huge report and a breakdown of what they're going to look at and what they're going to do again, like Becky said, the Fresh Waterways will make recommendations on what treatments, and it could possibly get moved around. But if you're looking at low level, moderate level, and high effort, the low level is like it would start at $5.40 for an average lot. That an average lot in Ocean Shores is 8,000 square feet. And by 2034 would get up to $7.36 monthly. So on your utility bill, how you see water, sewer, storm, and EMS, that's where you would see that. On that moderate level, it starts at $5.40, same thing, and by 2034 it'd be at $9.91 per month. And at the high, most impactful level, it would again start at $5.40 and go up to $9.96 by 2034. Something also that I just want to touch on, and we did when we had this group, and I didn't show up, or not show up, like Becky had it handled, but they started talking about money, which we didn't know that they were going to go do. And they said, oh, there's a $600,000 deficit and all this stuff. And when we were working with this company, we were doing our cost allocation plan at the same time. And while we did that cost allocation plan, we had to do a lot of digging. We've talked about this. And the city was taking $49,000 out of its general fund from like 2013 every single month and transferring that over the storm fund. It might have been further back than that. I bet you Don knows right off the tip of his head. But they did that, and it was a part of a legal case that was brought forth against the city, and it was to replenish that storm drain account at that time. Councilmember Griebel is nodding her head. She knows. And so we couldn't, just like with our cost allocation, and the reason we need it is that we need to have some substance on why we're moving these monies around. When Shantae and I did the deep dive, there was no reason for us to be transferring that money. And so when they presented, oh, well, you're just out $600,000 a year. But that's not true, because the cost allocation fixed that for the storm drain. So our storm drain with this will still stay in operational and infrastructure and treatment where we want it to. Just being very clear about that, because they did note that we were going to have this huge deficit, but we still stick with these rates based on treatment, our operational budget. This will work going forward.
And then one thing that we talked about at the Finance Committee meeting too, that I just wanted to make sure council is aware of, in Ocean Shores, the rates are based on the square footage of the lot, and an 8,000 square foot lot is the average. So as houses are built and developed, that does not increase the stormwater payments or amount of people who are paying into the stormwater facility. If you have a lot, you're already paying into that. So it's not like a future growth like a lot of other cities have.
And just as a reminder, because I know that the number one thing that people will say is, well, I don't live on the water. It's called storm drain because it's part of the storm drain system. It rains here nonstop. This is your covert systems, this is your runoff systems, and that all goes to the fresh waterways. So even if you do not live around one of those fresh waterways, you are a part of this system, and your property is a part of this rate.
And it does also pay for public works projects with all of the things that Sarah said, not just fresh waterways projects.
All right. I'm just going to say one thing. People have been screaming at the government here to do something about the fresh waterways. We now have a plan, and we can fix a lot of the problems out there. So we're really hoping that, it's supported by the public. Anybody got any comments? Richard, then Kurt.
So the next time you drive out of the city and you get adjacent to the high school, look over there to the right at that swamp and imagine that that swamp was your front or backyard. And if we don't do this, that's going to be your backyard or your front yard, wherever you live. It's that simple. And yes, I have a lot and a half or maybe a double lot. I don't remember. So I'm looking at it somewhere between $10 and $20 a month. And it's worth every nickel of it, because my house, if that turns into a swamp, my house value will plummet to next to nothing. And so will your house if you live on, Octopus or one of those places that are nowhere near the waterways. When those waterways become a swamp, go down Fishhook if you can. Can we still, Connie? And it's coming, and it's been coming for 50 years, but now it's getting critical. So that's my take. Thank you.
This is assuming some grant funding that isn't yet secured.
Yeah, that is correct. The grant funding is not secured. We'll be working also with Herrera. They'll be able to help us, and Aquatechnics as well, with working with our grant manager.
If the grants don't materialize, what does that mean in practical terms? Does the city defer projects, or would that create future pressure for additional rate increases?
What we would do then is, yes, future rate increases, but we would also determine, based on the funds that we have available, which level of service, and pick between the level of service items that we would want to do.
Okay. Second question, how often would you recommend council revisit and potentially recalibrate this plan so that we can maintain controls to conditions, grants, and priorities?
Oh, the plan, not the stormwater rate study. The actual plan, the cyanobacteria plan, or the stormwater rate study?
The rate study.
So typically, we hold on to rate studies for about 5 years, looking at them annually. You have to have, years and years and years ago, the city got in trouble for arbitrarily raising rates because they weren't based on anything except for we need more money. So we do these plans so that we can, all the way out to 20, whatever it says, we can utilize that number. So if you feel like we're missing a mark, that's when we would ask for a new study to be done based on what we're looking at infrastructure-wise or project-wise, or no grants. We did ask this company to limit the grants that we would need. So when you saw this originally, it had like everything was going to be funded under a grant. We said, no, we need to see like minimal grants, which we have a really good fighting chance of getting now because we got that lake management plan done, which we didn't have that before. So it made it almost impossible for us to get any grants.
Okay. I really appreciate the work that went into this. It's real clear, it's transparent, and it gives council some good choices, and that's important. As long as we're careful about grant assumptions and intentional about revisiting this regularly so we don't lock ourselves into something that doesn't fit down the road. I think it's a good way to go.
Go ahead, Denise, and then Lisa.
Yeah, Becky, at the Finance Committee, you had mentioned the possibility of mixing and matching some of the recommendations that we have from Herrera. When will we be getting that from the fresh waterways?
Aquatechnics is going to be at our meeting in February, and then Herrera will be at our meeting in March. So probably late March, early April. That said, also for treatment of this year, it's already been budgeted for this biennium. So as far as just the yearly treatment, we should not have to come to council for that. And Aquatechnics, who's coming to the first meeting or the meeting in February, that's the company that does the treatment. So he's also going to talk about what his treatment plan for the weed management is for the year as well. So,
Okay, thank you.
Go ahead, Lisa.
Thank you, Mayor. And again, thanks for the work that you're doing. And Richard mentioned just the benefit to people who do own property on the water. But taking care of our waterways ultimately benefits the whole city. Just like taking care of our golf course doesn't just benefit the homeowners that live on the golf course, it benefits our entire city. Working on a fire break doesn't just protect the homes on the ocean, it's going to help improve the entire city. So thank you for this work.
All right, any other comments? No? I guess we're done, but thank you very much. All right, we have no executive session, so agenda review will be this Thursday, January 29th at 9 a.m. with Council Member Sires, Taylor, and Griebel. So we'll move on to good of the order, and we'll start with Tom.
I want to thank everybody for their input, their comments, and everything else. It got a little heated, but I'm glad for everybody that calmed everything down. Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, Lisa.
Thank you, Mayor. And I do want to thank our community members who are engaged. And it's so important to have an engaged community and to be willing to come here and speak. We appreciate that because we're here to listen, and whether we agree with what the public commenters say, it doesn't matter if we agree or disagree. Our job is to listen. And also, it's really important, our job is to think about our entire community, particularly those people who are voiceless and aren't brave enough to come and stand at the mic and say what they're afraid of or what they want to have happen. So just to remind all of us the importance of thinking about everybody that lives here and keeping them healthy and safe.
Allison.
Yeah, thank you, everyone who gave public comment tonight. Also, to our finance department, all of the work they've put in, getting everything put together to look at doing the annual budget and getting things organized. And I mean, that audit report, I mean, those are such minor things. And great job and kudos to your department, Sarah.
Denise.
I also wanted to thank all of the community members who spoke tonight. I did hear your passion, I heard your fear, and I saw your tears. And that does make it an issue that this council needs to address and that it should be on the agenda. However, I also wanted to remind the council that we did approve the council guidelines unanimously, and that we do have some processes for adding things to the agenda. And I would hope that over the next year, we would be able to build some trust within the council that whether it's 3 members on the agenda review or whether we're setting the agenda here, that we all have the community in mind, that we listen to the community, and that we're able to reflect those their issues in our agendas.
All right, Richard.
Thank you. So I respect what Denise had to say. And as I said when I made the motion, the events that are happening nationwide right now I've got to hope that they're an outlier. I've got to hope that this is not the America that we're turning into, because that's not a nation that I want to choose to continue living in. So I want to say that I stand in pretty good solidarity with Minnesota and all the Minnesotans and all of the residents and citizens of the United States of America And even though I'm a retired Army First Sergeant, I now, and for the past decade plus, realize that violence has never provided any lasting peace anywhere on earth. Literally, every single day that I'm awake, at some point I give thanks to the fact that even though I spent 24 years active duty Army, served in Korea next to the demilitarized zone, I never had to go into combat. I never had to point a gun at anybody. I give thanks for that every single day. And I have become thoroughly convinced that nonviolent protest and nonviolent proactive actions are the only way that we will ever achieve lasting peace. So that's my position. And I also want to say, again, thanks to Sarah and the Finance Committee and virtually all of the city staff. Every single city staff that I've ever had any interaction with, they're kind, they're considerate, they're knowledgeable. There may be some outliers in there, but I'm not aware of them. We, whether the council or the residents of the city, we all owe gratitude to the outstanding city staff that are working for us. Thank you.
Kurt?
I also want to give thanks to the city staff for everything they've done, helping make my transition onto council much smoother and easier. Thank you also to the Fresh Waterways Committee for their guidance in getting this, getting our canals fixed, in the fresh waterways. You guys have been stellar. And finally, thank you to the citizens for being here and speaking your minds.
All right, thanks. Can we get a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
We're adjourned.